Hey, this is Alex from the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. To see more videos like this from the Good Old Boys, hit subscribe and support this independent podcast.
David Njoku finished tight end 13 last year, 58 receptions, 80 targets, 628 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5.7 targets per game. Thoughts on David Njoku?
I like David Njoku. If it wasn't for being dinged up for part of the season last year, he would have finished as a tight end 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he would have been there. He was heavily targeted by Jacoby Brissett, and Deshaun Watson did pepper him with targets as well. Like he did not have a massive drop off once Deshaun Watson came back. He was, he was kind of that guy I went to on the waiver wire. Was, I don't love my matchup, blah blah blah. I'd rather gamble on Brissett than not. And I actually ended up bouncing him and Gerald Everett back and forth a lot in a couple different leagues last season, and I was pretty happy with it for the most part. So I like David Njoku. I think he's going to finish in tight end 1 territory. He is a presence in the end zone. He's pretty quick for a tight end, right? So he can run those seam routes, but he's also big-bodied enough that he can be that security blanket if a play breaks down. They will design plays for him off of that play action, right? A lot of times he'll be that relief valve if the linebacker doesn't bite on the run and is getting after Watson. Njoku's that guy a lot of times who they'll hit off of bootlegs, try and get a 4-yard catch into a 12-yard gain type deal. So I like him. He is a guy that I will target waiting on tight end. Because as we've said, it's either Travis Kelce or bust, in my opinion. And if I'm going to run a tight end by committee, I'll target Njoku late and maybe even in back-to-back rounds going like Njoku and Cole Kmet. Like I'd be pretty okay with that.
He did see the football. Like he was up there seeing more targets than some of the wide receivers were. Certainly saw more targets than Amari Cooper saw in a few games. So you have to think that that's a product of Stefanski's offense, right? That the tight ends are in more and play action frees them up a little bit more because of, defenses having to honor the run. Again, to Kevin's point, he's a wait because it's Travis Kelce or bust.
And we see him easily outperform that, his draft capital coming off the board, kind of, 96th overall, tight end 10. So you're talking very tail end of the 8th, beginning of the 9th round type of thing. Tight end 10, you can probably see him, drift up in there. Tight end 6, 7, 8 when the season's all said and done. So I think that at you're drafting him kind of at his floor for draft capital right now. So like Kevin said, I'm in on where he's coming off the board at, and I could easily see that going that route and taking him kind of right there in round 9.